Menu RX,
after the Taco Bell.
I will tell you that if you talk to Dr. Jake May and the rest of the team at Menu RX, they're probably going to tell you that Taco Bell is not the best thing to be eating. So if you want help with a diet plan, if you want help getting in better shape, if you just want to find out what is the best food/fuel for your body, for you, because it's different for everybody based on your metabolic makeup, find out with menurx.com. That's menu-rx.com. They will help you with one-on-one counseling and testing using actual science and not some dope on the internet who's telling you got to eat 82 carrots and that's the only way you can lose weight. So get real help from real professionals, doctors, scientists. Menu-rx.com. And if you sign up this month to any plan, you will get a free membership to the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show for a year. That's a 6-month value, a $60 value, absolutely free. Menu-rx.com.
All right, guys. So
Yes.
Joel Bitonio was talking at the golf outing yesterday.
Yeah.
And he gave us a little bit of a preview about the offense coming this season. And he said it's kind of more back to classic Stefanski install around 2020, 2021. My first question for you guys here for this topic is that what we want to see this year? Go ahead.
Guys, I think absolutely that's what we want to see. The Browns, in a perfect world, we want to see someday a Browns quarterback being a superstar and throwing the ball all over the field. And maybe we'll see some of that, certainly with Joe Flacco. With the other guys, who knows, as a rookie, or Kenny Pickett's not that type of player either. And so we may see some of that. But I think as much as we want that in a perfect world, the Browns as an organization, and especially as an offense, need to get back to the basics. Mm-hmm. And the basics are high completion percentage and running the football and being a balanced team. And for good or bad, and maybe ultimately there will need to be further adjustment down the line. The Browns have been at their best when they've gone with what Kevin Stefanski was doing when he first got here, and that was, with Baker and to some degree with Joe Flacco when they were playing, and even Jacoby Brissett when they were playing more of that kind of offense, a complementary type of offense with a powerful running game. Again, less with Flacco because they didn't really have the running game at that point, not to the same degree. But with two guys drafted relatively high at running back, one of which, a Buckeye, who, I think we all think is going to be a stud. The Browns can get back to that type of play, hopefully. And I think that will help this offensive line because, especially in the middle of the line, with the veterans that you have there at guard and tackle, those guys are meant to meat grind, guys. They are meat grinding. Sounds a little weird.
That's
yes, indeed.
He started the show with sausage, and now he's meat grinding. Yeah.
Those guys want to run the ball, smash mouth, and I think that will help everybody and especially once we start playing the rookies, whether it's Shedeur or Dillon Gabriel, to help with their confidence and to help them build up as a quarterback. If you have a good running game and you're kicking ass with the offensive line, it'll take a lot of pressure off the young quarterbacks. And so, yes, I think right now it's a good time for them to get back to the basics and get back to what Stefanski and the offense did best when he first got here.
If the question was, is this the best move for the Browns to be their best in 2025, the answer is unequivocally yes. Run the ball, play action, get back to what Stefanski has done best in the past, get back to what Joe Flacco has proven he can show you, get back to the blocking schemes that made Bitonio and Teller and Pochich one of the most interior offensive lines in all of football a couple of years ago. But if the question is this what we want to see? Hell no. I want to see Shedeur Sanders sling the rock around. I want to see Dillon Gabriel attack downfield and see if Cedric Tillman and Harold Fannin and some of these young receivers have the makings to be a long-term answer in this offense. Does that necessarily lead to wins? Is that their chance to be most successful? I have no clue. If those guys are really good, then yes, it is. If they're not, then it will not lead to good results. But running the ball, play action under center, makes the most sense with the personnel, but is it what Mikey McNuggets wants to see? No, I want to see those two young quarterbacks they invested in turn into something great, and I'm not sure we're going to get that answer if they're throwing 10 to 15 times a game, running the ball 30 times a game.
Oh, well, they're not doing that.
Whatever
That's going over the top.
whatever the numbers are. But
Yeah.
you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
What I want to see is I want to see those guys.
They're not going to be
sling the ball.
two-thirds. Nobody, even the Ravens don't do that.
You get what I'm saying?
You know, I'm proud of you, man. I'm proud of you, McNuggets,
Thank
because
you. It means a lot coming from you, G.
I'm proud of you because you're breaking down the fallacy that we're going. And Adam the Bull, you know
Yeah.
good and well, you don't believe it. Bull don't believe it. I like Bull.
What?
Bull don't believe it. Bull is sitting there in the back of his mind, knowing, as he's ticking in his head, he's like, yeah, that sounds good. But if you ain't got a quarterback, you're out of here. You're going to run the ball with play action 45 times. Get out of here. Listen, good quarterbacks and good teams put the ball in the air. You run the football, and you got to be balanced to a certain extent. But you got to find out if you got a quarterback.
Sure, but you could do that within this style of offense.
Now, if they're going to come out here, Bull, and tell us that that's what the objective is, to keep everything close to the vest and run the ball and try to just squeak out third down conversions, they're not going to have any idea which one of these quarterbacks could be a franchise quarterback. Because my thing is this: as much as I want to test these quarterbacks, I would like to test Kevin Stefanski. I want to see if Kevin Stefanski, why is he not under a test to whether he can develop people? He got 4 quarterbacks. You got to develop one of them. And think about it. Wouldn't you feel a lot better if he could develop somebody, even if it's somebody that we don't even think like it's Kenny Pickett, right? At least you could develop him, and that gives us a better idea of what you would look like if you do get a number 1 quarterback next year. Because right now, I haven't seen no quarterbacks playing well for the Cleveland Browns in a long time. So what tells me that we're gonna get a franchise guy? They're gonna trade up. If ain't none of the guys this year, they're gonna trade up, get a quarterback in next year's draft, Arch Manning or whoever you want to say it is, and we're supposed to think that they're gonna develop him too. If they don't put these guys through the rigors today, I would rather them come out and say, we're going to run what we need to run to try to win football games, and say, you know what, let's see if one of these guys can do it. Because if they can't, then you can go to next year and see what they got.
I just think you guys are turning this into me saying they're going to run the ball 2/3 of the time. Who's saying that?
I actually thought you said they're going to run the ball 5 out of 6 times. Is how you describe it.
5 out of 6 times.
You're going to take your shots. What, they never threw? Baker threw the ball deep plenty. It wasn't like he wasn't throwing the ball deep. He threw the ball deep. Guys will get their opportunities. But if I'm going to throw out Shedeur Sanders in week 5 for the first time, when he's never played in the NFL, and I'm saying, go throw 40 passes. Well, how's he going to succeed that way?
Well, let me ask you this.
Very few rookies could succeed that way.
I don't know the answer, so if I'm wrong, G, Bull, correct me. Has Shedeur Sanders ever ran an under center play action offense? So if he's going to get his first shot and you want to make him in the most comfortable situation to see what you have, would you put him in this Stefanski style offense that he may not have as much familiarity? And Dillon Gabriel, it fits. They're both in the same category.
Guys got.
I don't know.
It's a new league. Guys got to adjust. I mean, they've had to adjust forever.
That's the point I'm saying.
Yeah.
I think so. My question would be, if Kevin Stefanski's offense was, we talked about it a little bit, antiquated when they lost to the Texans. What was our conversation? Our conversation was, guys, they knew what they were running before they were running it. There was the whole comment with
Christian Kirk,
D'Amico Ryans.
Right.
And he's like, they've been running that play since I was playing.
Yeah.
Stand right there.
And that's on Stefanski.
And so, yes, I like the principles. I like to get back to running the football and doing some things, but let's not get it twisted. Stefanski he has to adapt and add some new stuff to it.
Hey, listen.
There got to be some new wrinkles with that.
In my mind, Kevin Stefanski should be on the hot seat going into this year. I don't think he should have a free pass to be here in 2026. I think it should depend on how the season goes. He's got to. I don't think they're going to run the exact same offense play for play that they did when Baker was here. Every quarterback's a little different, and the player has to adjust to the coach and the system, and the coach has to adjust to the player. That's it. There's got to be a little of both. So yes, if Shedeur Sanders is out there, of course I don't want him throwing 5-yard passes on every play and handing it off. I want to see what he's got. Can he, make that intermediate throw? Will he make the right read when he's got to go deep? Sure, you got to see it, but you also and let's say Shedeur does come in week 5. Okay, I'm going to put more on his plate week 8 than I am going to week 5. I want to make it a little easier on him when he first goes in there.
Yeah.
And then, okay, how did he do? Did he do good? Let's give him a little more. Did he do good? Let's give him a little more. And that's how I would do it. I don't want, Yeah, like we all see the guys like Jaden Daniels last year. I mean, he was remarkable, right? And he took, eventually he had a lot on his plate. We're not watching Washington every week to know, like,
what they progressed
right,
and how they brought him along.
I bet he was doing a lot more by week 8 than he was doing in week
Kingsbury
1.
gave an interview where he talked about the progression. Week 1,
Exactly.
It was simple. Week 8, they added 17 different things by the end of the season.
And you're talking about the guy who maybe had the best rookie season ever by a quarterback.
Ever.
And even it wasn't all thrown on him week 1. It's a lot for these guys. No matter who you are, no matter where you were drafted, a quarterback, I mean, there's so much to learn. I'm not going to just say, first game, Shedeur, go throw it 45 times. I mean, it may turn out that way. Maybe they're getting blown out. I don't know. But that's not the ideal scenario. If I'm if I'm Kevin Stefanski, and it's my job to get the best out of Shedeur Sanders, I don't think, or Dillon Gabriel, but in this case I'm talking about Shedeur, I don't think the best thing for Shedeur Sanders is to be throwing 4 passes for every 1 run his first game.
I think we are dissecting why it is difficult, the difficulties that they're going to have this season. We're actually just highlighting them right now because you have 2 tracks. One track is, yes, you're trying to get the best out of the guys and put them in position to win football games and to make them look good. But then there's another track that says, all right, time is ticking. And it's the Jason Lloyd track that says, yeah, we got 2 picks next year. Yeah. And we need to figure out if we got a quarterback.
Yep.
So it's how do you like weave and put the needle through the eye and make sure that you can do all things and at the same time make it where you have enough sample size to get these guys to show.
Sure. To me, if I'm an NFL coach and I spend a year with a player, I should know, shouldn't I? I mean, shouldn't I know at that point, or at least have a good feeling about it? Like,
I think you should know, but we've seen cases where teams think they do and they're wrong, and teams think they don't have a player, and it turns out to be wrong too.
But in a lot of those cases, maybe they didn't have a better option anyway, so they stuck with the guy. If you're like the Giants decided to stick with Daniel Jones, well, yeah, okay, you could say that was wrong, and it probably was, but maybe the other options in there, I can't remember now.
No, the other options.
Maybe there are other options. They didn't think those guys were any good. So what's the point? I mean, if let's say the Browns total disaster this year, they have the first pick in the draft, and by the time we get to next year's draft, there's a quarterback that everybody thinks is the next Burrow. Well, probably that guy's going to get drafted because if the Browns are bad enough that they're picking first, probably none of the quarterbacks played that well. So you're going to draft that guy. On the other hand, if say Shedeur showed you a little this first year, not enough that you're 100% sold, but he showed you enough that you want to see more. Unless that guy's a short ding the next year, you'd be like, well, this other guy's a question mark too. I might as well stick with the guy I have. It's been in my system a year. So it's tough. I get it. They have to. You have to balance the future against the present, the winning versus developing, and you drift and you drafted 2. Not only do you maybe you want to take a quarterback next year, but you've drafted 2 guys. So you have to have some sense of both of them before you make another big decision on a quarterback maybe the next year.
We're going to talk about a Cavs trade later on.
Yeah.
And one of my themes on that is to be threading the needle of 2 timelines. And how do you thread 2 timelines? The Browns are in a situation right now where not only are they threading 2 timelines, but they're trying to thread 2 timelines with 2 strands of string. Because you have Shedeur and because you have Gabriel, and you need to figure out an answer to get to whatever that next timeline is, whether that is draft a new quarterback or build around one of your 2 rookies. How do you get them both enough reps to feel comfortable? How do you get them enough playing time so you can make a valid determination on whether or not player X can be your guy or player Y can be your guy, or do we have to completely move on, while also trying to rebound from a 3-14 season where you may feel like you have job stability, but to your point, Bull, I don't think they should. At some point, we got to start evaluating these guys.
I don't think Kevin Stefanski or Andrew Berry have earned job stability.
I'm with you.
I think overall, it's always better to stick with a coach and a GM as long as you can, because more years, in theory, you're going to get better. You don't want to go into a season thinking you're going to fire those guys. But in my opinion, neither the coach nor the GM has done enough to be locked in beyond this year.
And I'd ask, show me the quarterback that they've had a great relationship with.
Flacco.
Here.
That's it.
But listen, Joe, you can't tell me Joe wasn't a little bit. So you're not going to offer me a deal after the first year?
Probably, but when he was here,
there was
a good relationship.
And
I think Jacoby Brissett.
But Brissett,
That's about it.
That's about it.
That's fair. That's a fair criticism.
So I would like to see these are you got a smorgasbord of people, right?
Yeah.
This is going to tell me more about your coaching ability and job this year than anything.
That's right.
Because you do have to manage people, you do have to manage expectation, you do have to manage different personalities, and you got to do it with all different type of expectations. And let's just keep it real. The same storyline that you talked about, they're going to be on everybody's A block. They're in every comment section. They're in every chat room. Mm-hmm. They are here. People are here moving around, and eyes are on the Cleveland Browns and what they do in that quarterback. That's a very hard thing to do, and you trying to do all that at one time.
And he's got, if you include Kenny Pickett, I don't see it, but if you want, I mean, he's still a young player.
Still a young guy.
He has 3 quarterbacks that he could potentially coach up and turn into good NFL players. Most coaches don't have 3 options.
No.
I'm not including Flacco because obviously he is what he is, and he's old and he's almost done. But 3 options of guys who have either not played or played not a lot.
Watch this. You coach baseball. You know coming into the season who your pitcher's going to be.
Right.
How many times you done developed a pitcher that used to be a right fielder or a first baseman in the middle of the season?
It's hard. It's hard.
You gonna go. You know what you. It's hard to devote that time. I'm gonna just coach up what I got. It's hard to just teach that up. Like, let me get that dude over there. Nah, I'm gonna go with the 3 I know that pitched last year for me.
Yeah. No, that's true. It's a tricky situation. So the tendency would be to lean towards Flacco. You already know what you got, but he's got 3 opportunities to coach guys up. It's really going to be fascinating to see. I mean, we've never really seen anything like this. And think about it. Joe Flacco, obviously he's old, but he was a first-round pick, right?
Yes, 17th overall.
Super Bowl champion.
Kenny Pickett, first-round pick.
Super Bowl champion.
Super Bowl champion.
Dillon Gabriel, third-round pick. Mm-hmm. But the guy getting the most conversation is the guy drafted in the 5th round, which you've never seen a situation like this before.
It's the most
It's
unique,
completely unique.
And you didn't.
By the way, I got a cramp in my side. And it hurts to lift my arm because I got a shingles vaccine yesterday in my shoulder. And so my arm hurts.
Get him off camera. That's
it's
sad
terrible.
to see.
You know, and then I got to ask a question. It's at some point, there's a speculation. At some point, does the owner be like, well, I think I want to see Shedeur.
And the other question on top of that, and this goes back to, like I said, trying to thread 2 timelines at once. Whoever you're playing at quarterback, you're not just evaluating them, but you're trying to evaluate how good does Harold Fannin look. All these other receivers that they're trying to
it's a bad use of timelines because when you talk about the Cavs, you're talking about, well, would you trade a veteran player for a young player? It's win now versus win later. The Browns, there's no win now option for the Browns.
Okay, maybe time, but do we cut ties and completely move on to the next generation?
Are we trying to win this year?
We want to be competitive.
Right.
Like, is Jerry Jeudy going to be sitting around being like, come on, man, it's another quarterback in again?
So, okay, maybe timeline's not the right word, but it's levels, next steps. It's trying to figure out 2 different outcomes in one equation that aren't necessarily compatible with each other. Now, they could be. If Shedeur or Dillon turns out to be the best quarterback, they start, they play, you win. It is incredible. That's the best case scenario out of all the scenarios.
You know the worst.
Is it the most likely? I don't know. The worst case scenario is Kenny Pickett plays just good enough.
The worst case scenario. If we're in the quarterback room, I'm telling you, and we all 3 going to be quarterbacks. I'm telling you, hey, I don't want to go first. You actually think about it. If you're Kenny Pickett. You're actually like
Pickett starts. It's the worst.
It's the worst thing for you because you got 2 rookies behind you that people want to see, and they already think that they're better. And you got Joe Flacco chilling. Let's play.
Let's play Let's play this out real quick. Kenny Pickett gets the week 1 start. First incompletion. What did the fans say?
Man,
get him out.
If he got the wrong socks
Flacco.
Yeah.
He throws
they're going to be calling for Shedeur.
No, it's going to start. It starts with Flacco.
That's crazy. I think it is. It starts with Flacco.
Flacco won't be here, though.
I'm just saying, it starts.
If they keep all 4 quarterbacks.
If Pickett's quarterback 1, it starts with Flacco.
Yeah.
Then it becomes incredibly loud for Flacco.
Yeah.
Flacco takes over. Then it becomes incredibly loud for Shedeur. And I'm not quite sure where Gabriel fits in this
Dillon
situation.
Gabriel is just sitting there, and it's a no-win situation for him.
Yeah.
It's definitely no win because if they're going to play a young guy, if somebody says, "Hey, let's go with the youth movement,"
Everyone's going to watch the door.
Unfortunately, he's not the option at the youth movement.
But
that
he
they
was
wanna
the higher.
see.
He was the
But
higher
he-
pick.
but-
It's yeah.
I mean, this situation is really tough on him.
Yeah, he's in a very bad spot.
There's never been a situation where a quarterback that a team drafted multiple quarterbacks and the lower drafted quarterback is getting the hype.
Yeah.
Fair or not,
It's rough.
He's not just hype. He's the most popular rookie in the entire class.
yeah.
Like, and then you got to look at it from his perspective. Like, listen, I didn't even expect to go this high. You got one person who didn't expect to go that low, one person that didn't expect to go that high, and he's kind of like looking around, like, I'm gonna just, I'm gonna just try to keep coming to work and get this money. But it's tough because I wouldn't want to be the tough because chances are, being the first guy out means that you're the first guy out.
It's like sending the first guy out in the one gorilla versus 100 men.
Right? Who wants to take that?
Who's just going to be the sacrificial quarterback in this
Like
sense?
who is trying to be on the front row of the Spanish Indian War, and we're sitting up there, and I'm like, dang, I know how this works.
You also got Cincinnati, Baltimore, and Green Bay right out the bat too. So it's not like you're being walked into a cozy situation.
Yeah.
If I'm the Browns, I'm kicking Kenny Pickett out the door. I'm not. I don't understand at this point Kenny Pickett, but I know Mary Kay and Aditi and Jason all think it's going to be Kenny Pickett.
Jason's changed his team.
He's flip-flopped.
Jason's flip-flopped.
We have Jason Lloyd flip-flopped.
Jason's on the Flacco
In
train.
fairness, he's got more information.
Yes.
Yeah. So
He got to see it in person.
I've tried my best to put myself in their shoes and understand what it is that they're seeing. I'm like, hold on, listen, let me see if I got a blind spot. Let me see if I see what they're saying.
Right.
But every time I jump in their shoes, my feet hurt because I got big feet and their shoes are kind of small. But I'm like, I don't see where the upside is, and it sucks because I'm a proponent of competition.
Yeah, of
if
course.
Kenny Pickett come out here and he's balling, I have no choice but to say he was balling. I have no choice. But in my head, I'm trying to see a specific scenario where I envision that level of success, and I don't see it. I just can't, for some reason, see it.
It makes the most sense to start Joe Flacco week 1, and once you're a few weeks in, you evaluate the situation.
Yeah. And
whichever quarterback between Dillon Gabriel and Shedeur Sanders you believe as an organization is more ready to play, as soon as you're either, if you're 0-4 or 0-5 and you going nowhere, you pull the plug and you play whichever one of those guys you think is most ready to play. That's it.
If it's close, all tiebreakers go to rookies to me. If you on a scale, if you looking at an 84 as a baseline between what Pickett and what Flacco giving you, and the rookies is at 83, 82. Right. I see no reason to go with the 84. I'm gonna see what's going on, because here's the thing. What if think about the bad side. What happens if we do put one of them in and we playing those games at the beginning of the season and they mess around and look?
Oh, you're talking about week 1?
Yeah.
Yeah, sure.
Can you imagine the disposition of everything? Everything changed.
In the best case scenario,
I would certainly start one of those guys if they prove they're worthy.
If it's even.
Yeah, sure. I think you would. But if Joe Flacco is way ahead of the other guys to start the year, I'd start him.
Yeah.
I'd be working to get both the guys ready, and whichever one you think has the best chance, I play him first by week 4 or 5, whatever. Do you think they're both going to play both rookies this year?
Yes, they better. Unless the only scenario I could see where only one rookie plays is if whoever the rookie they put out there first is lights out and doesn't give the other an opportunity.
I'll give you another scenario where the rookies wouldn't play, and it's an unlikely one, although I bet some fans would disagree. That's if Flacco plays great and the team's winning.
We had that yesterday.
We had a
conversation yesterday. I said, is there a scenario in which I asked Jay and Jason, is there a scenario in which you see that Flacco is off to a 4-2 start? That ain't beat some of these playoff teams.
Yeah.
Defense looks like it's back to doing what it is.
Right.
And you got an outside chance of making the playoffs. And Flacco is
4-2. That's not an outside chance.
Now you're cooking. Now my thing is, Could they go into next season? Now, they would probably have the thing where this is a 1 year thing. One of those two dudes would probably be named the starter or compete next year. Yeah. I said, but is there a chance that they keep both of them and say, we like what we saw enough from both of them to say one of these guys is a franchise quarterback, and we don't draft a quarterback, even though we didn't see him play all year?
Of course there's a possibility. How could you say no? It depends where they're drafting.
He said
you're wrong, Mike, because the way that scenario would play out would mean the Browns are at worst a middle of the pack team, which means they're not drafting in the top 5. So how are they taking a top quarterback?
No, I think he's saying, would you feel confident, and if I'm misunderstanding, would you feel confident not seeing Gabriel or Sanders play whatsoever during the season? And then feeling like, okay, they're ready to be the franchise quarterback next year.
How could you be confident in that? No,
that's what I'm saying. I don't think
right. But I thought you also said, where they wouldn't draft a quarterback.
Where they wouldn't draft
I just said that could happen because they might not be picking high enough to draft. Again, I don't think that scenario is going to play out.
We're saying the same thing, but in different avenues.
It's like I'll give it to you like this. Go back to the Derek Anderson years. Go back to 2007, right?
Right.
The Browns were not supposed to be good. They jumped out. They ended up going 10-7.
Yeah,
they went 10-7. Barely missed the playoffs. Derek Anderson went to the Pro Bowl.
Yeah,
they still had a draft pick.
Yeah,
they took Brady Quinn.
Right.
So so in this case, it would be Flacco. If Flacco comes out now, I'll probably, if he has a borderline year like that where he throws all those yards and they went to the playoffs, I would assume that they wouldn't bring him back.
Right. I mean, the difference is
Flacco's old.
Derek Anderson wasn't that old at that point.
No, he was younger.
They obviously didn't believe in him long term, which is why they drafted Quinn. But and you already have 2 young quarterbacks here. So yes, there is what I would say is a very unlikely scenario that Joe Flacco plays great. The Browns are a borderline to playoff team. He plays the whole year, and we don't know anything, at least us about the quarterbacks, and they're not drafting high enough where they can get a quarterback there. Because if let's say the Jaguars have the 12th pick and the Browns have the 17th, well, you're not getting up. If there's only 2 really good quarterbacks, you're not getting high enough to get those most likely.
And in that case, who knows?
That's
again. I mean, a lot would have to happen.
We're projecting 7 different things to happen.
Yeah.
It'd be a weak quarterback class. The Jaguars are okay. The Browns are better than we think. Flacco stays healthy for 17 games. He plays well.
I don't know that two good quarterbacks is a weak quarterback class. I mean, on average, there's 2 and a half drafted.
The premature evaluation of this upcoming quarterback class is very strong.
I don't understand that because a lot of those guys we've been talking about this year, and who's overly impressed with any of them?
I'm telling you what the McShays,
whatever,
and the Jordan Reed, and those
guys they have in the first round now probably won't even be the same guys by next.
The problems that arise are a lot of question marks, and I'll be interested to see how the question marks play out. Because who would have thought we would be 3-14 and Shedeur Sanders will be on the team? I would have never thought that.
Right? No.